like I found the more complete version of the redacted report. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first page is the same. So we'll go Astoria Police Department, incident report, warrant information, theft one firearm, felon in possession of a firearm, West End Basin, Astoria, Officer McNeary, victim Michael Robert Hecker, witness Tracy Marie Johnson, victim Janine May Nelson, witness Rick Lee Yelton, orach Ozark Jason, warrant 10/9/2015. Okay, arrestee, and those are the three charges: theft one, felon in possession, unlawful possession. Okay, single continuation report. Investigated a report of a wanted subject staying on a boat in the West End mooring basin. Suspect located and taken into custody on his felony warrant. Investigation showed he was in possession of a concealed loaded handgun and a felon. Handgun turned out to be illegally taken from a sailboat. Suspect charged with theft one, felon in possession of a firearm, and unlawful possession of a firearm. Mentioned Hecker Michael Robert, victim. Johnson Tracy Marie, witness. Orach Ozark Jason, arrestee. Jeannie Mae Pickering, victim. Rick Lee Yelton. On 10/9/2015, at about 16:37 hours, I began investigating a report of a wanted subject at the West End mooring basin in Astoria, Oregon. The subject was identified as Ozark Jason Orach. He had a nationwide felony arrest warrant for his arrest. The warrant also had a caution indicator that Orach resisted arrest. I also found that Orach was on felony post-prison supervision out of Multnomah County. Okay. Let's see. I also ran a criminal history on the subject in order to get a better picture of the type of person I would be involved with. The subject was a convicted felon. He had been arrested in Oregon about 10 times. Those arrests included resisting arrest, assaulting a police officer, and attempting to assault a police officer. I met Port Security Officer Ricky Yelton at the West End mooring basin with Officer Kuhnke. They were the reporting party. We were told the subject may be staying on a boat at Slip C-49. The owner had been called. No one was supposed to be on the boat, according to Port Security's contact with the owner. We arrived and found the sailboat there secure. I inquired about the information. I learned that the information about Orach had been developed because he had been seen on the news on TV as one of Portland's wanted subjects. His picture had recently been put on TV, and a person had recognized him and reported it to the port. I went and spoke to people on the dock at that location, 354 Industry Street in Astoria, Oregon. An employee at Northwest Wild Products, Tracy M. Johnson, DOB, redacted, had contact with Orach. She had spoken to Orach recently. Johnson believed Orach was staying on a boat in the mooring basin at that location, and he would be returning soon. She also told me that Orach was probably carrying a handgun. She said that he carried it in a black backpack. She said that he told her it was in the pack. She said he always had the pack. She also believed the name on the boat at C-49 was the correct one Orach was staying on. Officer Kuhnke was called away for a car crash. I requested sheriff's units respond to assist based on this additional threat. We waited for Orach to arrive. I suspected he had seen the 3 patrol vehicles in front of the building at that location and decided not to come. I began to clear. Just as I was about to leave 354 Industry Street, Orach arrived at the location. He matched the description from the warrant and how he had been described by the witness. He was also carrying a black pack, just as was described to me. I believe he was probably armed with a handgun. The deputies had just started walking back to their vehicles. I asked Orach his name. He sat down at a table. He confirmed who he was, and I told him he had a warrant and that he was under arrest. He asked what the warrant was for. He also got a nervous look on his face and started looking toward the avenues of escape. I believe he was about to run. I also believed he was armed. His pack had an open compartment, and I could see contents. His weapon could be readily accessible. I told him he would know that better than I about the warrant. Orach stood up. I moved forward and placed my hand on his chest and ordered him to sit back down. He turned toward the exit point. I broke contact and drew my taser because of the situation and his history. I activated the laser and targeted his abdomen. I ordered him to go down to the ground. He failed to comply. He asked again what he was being charged with. I told him again in a clear, loud voice to get down on the ground or I would use the taser. I called for cover units to respond. Orach then complied. He got down on the ground. Deputy Duncan from the Clatsop County Sheriff's Office arrived and handcuffed Orach. I explained Orach his Miranda rights to him. He said he understood them. I asked if he had a gun in the backpack. He confirmed he did. I asked if it was loaded. Orach confirmed it was. I asked him what type of gun it was. He said it was a 9mm. I had probable cause to believe that the pack was in the possession of Orach at the time of his arrest, and the felony warrant contained a 9mm handgun that was loaded at the time. I have a criminal record on Orach that shows him to be a convicted felon. I have no information that shows Orach has a concealed handgun license. I had a probable cause to believe that a bag would contain evidence of the crimes of unlawful possession of a firearm and felon in possession of a firearm. I believed it would be a violation of his post-prison supervision, a crime as well. Orach refused consent for me to search the bag. Orach is transported to the Clatsop County Jail. He told me he did not want to talk about the gun. He then continued to engage with me in conversation, during which he made a comment about finding the gun on the boat he was on. I reportedly told Orach not to speak with me, but he would then engage in conversation with me. At the jail, I was advised that a detective, Sergeant Harris from Gresham Police Department, wanted to speak to me about Orach. I was advised that Orach was wanted for theft of a companion animal by the detective. He spoke to Orach about the incident on speakerphone, but Orach denied the incident. I advised Orach I was seizing the items in his possession at the time of his arrest. Orach then gave me permission to search his pants and a shirt that had been attached to the pack that he had been carrying. He wanted them back. He also gave me permission to search the coat he had been wearing because he wanted that as well. He again confirmed he was not giving me permission to search the rest of his pack he had been wearing when arrested. The items were checked. I found a key ring with a key that matched the lock on the sailboat in question we had checked. Based on the info from the owner that no one was supposed to be on the boat, I suspected a burglary. I seized the key until I could confirm. The other clothing and contents of them were released to Orach. The bag was secured to have a search. Okay. No. Okay, the bag was secured to have a search warrant applied for based on the probable cause I had that it contained evidence of a crime. It was placed into an evidence locker at the Astoria Police Department. On 10/10/15, I prepared an affidavit and search warrant to be used to get into the Orach's pack. I sent it to Chief Deputy DA Ron Brown for review. He approved it. I then contacted Judge Philip Nelson. He faxed the affidavit and warrant. He then called me back and swore me to the affidavit. He then signed the paperwork in the warrant and faxed it back to me. The warrant was served on the pack at APD. I searched the pack. In the top section of the pack, I found the pistol. It was a Ruger P89 9mm pistol. The serial number was 305 16 932. It was run through LEDS and clear. The gun had a fully loaded magazine. Upon inspection, a live round was found loaded in the chamber as well. In total, there were 13 rounds loaded in the pistol. It was a fully functional pistol designed to fire 9mm rounds. The remaining items of the pack were for personal care. I was able to contact the owner of the sailboat in question at slip C49, named the Cantana. His name was Michael Hecker. Hecker advised me that he was married to a family member of Orach's. He said Orach had asked to buy his boat about a month earlier. He said he had given the keys to the boat to Orach to go and look at it and see if he wanted to buy it. He had not heard from Orach since. He said that he came to Astoria to check on the boat and see if Orach was going to take over the boat the weekend prior to the incident. He said Orach was not around. Hecker confirmed he had a P89 9mm pistol in the boat. He said there was also a shotgun of some kind as well. Hecker did not say that Orach could be living on the boat, but he was not concerned that he had been because he was family. Hecker was advised that Orach had been arrested in possession of his pistol. Hecker confirmed that Orach had no permission to be in possession or to have the pistol at all. It appears that Orach just moved onto the boat and then stole the pistol once he found it. Based on this information, I had probable cause to believe Orach is a convicted felon. He was found in possession of a loaded concealed handgun. The handgun was illegally taken from a boat and did not belong to Orach, and he had no permission to have taken. I went to the jail and charged Orach with the additional crimes of theft of a firearm, felon in possession of a firearm, and unlawful possession of a firearm. Action recommended. Forward the case to the DA's office and Multnomah County Community Corrections. Astoria Police Department. Summary. Test fire of suspect's pistol. Mentioned Hecker Michael Robert. Victim Tracy Marie Johnson, witness. Ozark Jason Orach, arrestee. Janine May Pickering, victim. Rickley Yelton, witness. Okay, action taken. On 10/11/15 at about 8:08, 10 hours, the suspect's pistol, a 9mm Ruger, was test fired at the Astoria Police Department's range. The weapon was tested with a functions check first. All parts moved and functioned as designed. The pistol was loaded with a live cartridge. The pistol was fired. The pistol moved and functioned as designed and fired the cartridge. The pistol is a fully functional firearm with the ability to fire. Officer Kuhnke of Astoria Police Department was present as a witness as well. The fired cartridge was placed into evidence with the pistol. A photo was taken showing the dented primer caused by the pistol's firing pin when the trigger was pulled. Okay, are we at the end of this? Yeah, page 9 of 9. So that is a more complete version.